Hello and greetings. I'm here today as a Guyanese, as one who is given to speaking the truth and doing so without reservation or apology. By now, most of you who follow me and who are closely associated with me and who observe my activity on this social media platform, you can attest to the fact that I have never been, nor will I ever be, afraid to say exactly what has to be said to us as a people. My assignment on this broadcast is to make us as Guyanese aware of what is really in store for us as a nation and why we are yet to make progress given the likes of the people who are here at the behest, well, not at the behest, but without the control, I should say, of this government or any other government. I appreciate the fact that you're joining me this morning on a day where the nation of Guyana, South America, is filled with tension. I have none. And the saints of Yahweh have what is called shalom. They have the peace of Yahweh. They have a peace that goes beyond understanding. So when many people are disturbed and are so concerned and troubled by the fact that they don't know election results and the rest of it, I'm fine. Because I am certainly aware of the fact that my help, my strength, my guidance, my well-being, and everything that concerns me as a saint, as the scripture calls us, everything is not in the hand of man. However, since there are many persons in this country, Guyana, who are afraid to speak, though they claim to be bold, I shall do so without reservation. Please let me know if the broadcast audio is fine, as well as the video. As long as the audio is good and the video is good, I'm prepared to speak to you today. And I'd be appreciative if you can share this broadcast with others, because many people do not get notifications that I'm live. Additionally, many persons, they are unable to receive real-time notifications for whatever reason. So please share the broadcast with them or invite them if you don't mind, because I prefer for persons to hear me themselves. And the sad reality is that many persons would normally say what I've said when I didn't say it. It's fine. Excellent. Now, over the years, our political environment in Guyana has become a toy. I am Guyanese, as I said to you. I am not someone who is gullible. I'm not somebody who is naive. I'm not someone who runs around chasing political parties, because I understand clearly what third world, as they call it, politics happen to be about. Shalom, Daddy. Good to see you. And I appreciate your being here. Everything about third world nations is controlled by first world nations. Everything about third world nations is controlled by first world nations. And I'm speaking to economic control, I'm speaking to social control. As you would observe, and I'm going to elections, but I want to give you a proper preamble to this discussion, or to this my statements today. As you would observe, in the first world nations, the moment they said it's okay for men to sleep with men, women to sleep with women, there should be legalization of marriages between men, boys could be called girls, girls should be called boys. The moment the first world nations said these things, the third world nations began to be forced to do it. As you are aware, LGBTQism, as I call it, was a major discussion or hot point in Guyana in this election. Why? Not because we won it, but because the first world nations forced it upon us. And our political leaders are too weak to fight because they are strongly desirous of power. We are in a nation in which men and women who claim they have a desire for political office and to lead us as a democratic society, their greater interest is in their power, not our well-being as a people. It's a fact, undeniable fact. So everything about third world nations is controlled by first world nations. Good morning to all of you and good to see you. Now, we have within our society at this time, as I said, tension. And I'm here observing with much pain in my heart the repetition of racism, of hatred, of division in a land that by now should have known better. There is no way that as a people in Guyana, we should allow ourselves to continue to be pawns in a game that will cause the people to lose. It doesn't matter who wins this election. It doesn't matter what the results are. The only losers would be the people of Guyana. They don't announce the loser, the true losers, which would be us as a society. The people who lose would be our children, who would observe people spewing racist remarks at each other, just so that a party that they have no power in can rule them. Now, America, the ABC nations, America, Britain, Canada, ABC nations, America, Britain, Canada, they're here. They have got ambassadors here. And every election since 1992, thereabout, these people are here and they are giving commentary on our electoral process, especially 2015 election, 2020 now. They've become more vocal. America, the ambassador, Britain, the High Commissioner, Canada's High Commissioner, they're all here. And they are very vocal in our electoral process. Their views matter. They have observers in our election process. And they have to scrutinize and verify certain results before it can be deemed accepted on international circles. And as a sovereign nation, Guyana, why are you celebrating independence if your once colonizers, your owners are still here telling you when they prepare to accept your election results and when you must name an election date and what you're supposed to do? We are in serious trouble as a nation if our leaders are unprepared and incapable of showing us that they can stand for what is called sovereignty in this land. So you have America, Britain, Canada, ABC nations observing our electoral process. And they're speaking to their desire, yes, their desire for us to have a smooth process and for there to be peace and for there to be no issue and no violence and no uprising. Yet these very people cannot assist us in this process in the most simple of ways. So what I will do today is I will share with you why there is evidence that Gina, close it there. While there is evidence that the ABC nations never intended for Guyana to have anything remotely close to a smooth, peaceful, quiet, expeditious electoral process. Unlike many of your preachers and your imams and whoever else they are, and politicians and the rest of it, I, Nigel London, have no issue, no concern, no fear of losing a visa, being rejected from having a visa. None of those things matter to me. Because scripture says that Yahweh, God, determines the boundaries in which you will live. So no man can determine where I live. I have no fear of any human being. Let me take you to the sugar industry, and you'll see why I'm saying that these ABC nations don't intend to help us in anything. In the sugar industry, UK was buying Guyana sugar, the European Union, at what is called a preferential price. We were getting preferential treatment years ago. They informed the then PPP administration that they will no longer be giving Guyana preferential treatment regarding the sugar market. They said you have to either diversify or do something, find new markets, but we are not giving or buying your sugar at this high cost just to support you and have this exchange being made that benefits you. The European Union gave Guyana, the PPP administration, millions upon millions of US dollars to diversify the sugar industry, to prevent its collapse, because they knew the economic and political significance of the sugar industry. So they injected millions of dollars into this government, the PPP administration, under Donna Ramatari, I think it was, and said, fix this. Here is a buffer system. We're giving you this money. You are going to diversify and do something that turns the weight away from the sugar industry. You all know the report. They built a power plant at Skeldon. They invested the money in Skeldon Estate and it collapsed. So you have a record in Guyana, South America, where the European Union, not wanting to hurt this country, as they claim, they gave us millions of dollars to ensure that the sugar industry does not collapse. These same people who could have pumped millions upon millions of dollars into this economy to help the sugar industry not collapse, or to help us to diversify the industry, turning attention away from reliance on sugar money to something else. These very people have observed our elections, 2012, I think it is, 2015, 2020. And they see the consistent issue. What is the issue? The delay in terms of results being announced. We are a very small population, less than 800,000 people. The electorate is very small. And we don't ever have 100% turnout in elections. Therefore, people continue to decry the fact that there should not be a reason for 600, 500,000, 400,000 votes to take a week to be counted. Now, if the ABC nations, America, Britain, Canada, wanted to help us so badly and have our interests at heart, do you not think that it would be easy for them to simply provide us with their mechanisms that they use in election? Why can they send all this money, a fraction of it, send us the software, send us the computers, send us the database that will be able, the software that will be able to accommodate real-time voting? You have satellite connections in the interior that can give you internet. So don't try that foolishness with me. You have got satellite connections and dishes in the interior of Guyana that can give you internet in real time. Therefore, if you, the Americans, you, the Britons, you, the Canadians, want to help us so desperately, why did you not give us, or do you not provide us with the same election mechanisms and technology that you use in your country that will cause an election involving 300 million people, 200 million people to be finished in a day? The results are published within hours. You would not do it. The reason why you wouldn't do it is because you don't have our interests at heart politically. You don't want a stable Guyana, because the more stable Guyana is politically, the more unstable your control is over us. So just quit the games and the charades. Politicians are afraid of y'all. Preachers are afraid of y'all. But I am not afraid of any one of you. You understand very well the value of a rich but unstable third world country. You know it. You want to keep us third world forever. So if our economy booms, as you see it will happen with the oil industry, according to what you said, our politics must still suffer. If our economy explodes financially and blossoms financially, our political environment will keep us in third world state. That's what you want. In November, when America has its elections, they would not take 3 days to publish the results, or 5 days. They wouldn't have to call card number 6712, whatever it is, somebody else repeats the same thing, and it goes through 75 different hands. Because if you're saying that Guyana's issue is distrust, which it is, to say that, listen man, we do not have enough confidence in people, so we have to pass the ballot papers through so many different hands to ensure that it's right. Then we have to have the statements of poll go through so many different hands to ensure that it's right. Then we have to have the ABC observers observing it to say it's right. Then we have to have Carter Center observers saying that it's right. We have to have so many different eyes before we can be told what the results are. You have the means, America. You have the means, Britain. You have the means, Canada, to eliminate any human being from having this much interaction with the voter's decision. Because all you have to do is provide the software, provide the computer and the hardware, and all we have to do is to put the those who vote, and it is updated to GCOM's website instantaneously, or their motherboard. So you don't want Guyana to have any stable election. You knew, you in America, you in Canada, and you in Britain all have a system in place that does not mirror this in Guyana. But we must always look like third world people who are desperate for your help. Let us not forget that the more unstable Guyana is politically, the more control the ABC nations will have over us. Not me though, over them. When Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump in that electoral challenge and battle, when they were going head to head and the elections were being, the results were being published, did we have any president, prime minister, GCOM official in the room at the headquarters saying who they verify that it's fair and free? Did we have any GCOM official to say we don't agree? Did we have an ambassador to the US saying he does not agree with the results because Hillary should win and Trump should lose? Did we have any one of our ambassadors there saying that they do not believe that it was fair because of Russian interference? None. But America could be here having so much to say regarding our electoral process when you know that you have the means to assist this nation in ensuring it does not repeat itself. There is no way in this technological age that this should happen in a country. Never, unless you want it to remain that way. When Britain had the Brexit issue and the parliamentarians were trying to backpedal on what the people wanted, and they had the Brexit problem, did Theresa May, and of course that election that was held, did Britain send for our ambassador to observe elections? And did the ambassador there have the power to say he does not agree with the result? Or he doesn't think it's being done smoothly? What about Canada's election? Guyanese, we are being, or they're seeking to make us appear to be, very, very stupid people. And the sad reality is our politicians love the fact that they could continue to do so. I am doing this broadcast this morning to show you, as I said, with the sugar industry, with our road networks, with in so many different areas, the United Nations, the European Union, the United Kingdom, America, Canada, they've all pumped massive sums of money into this country. They've injected money into Guyana. For what? For projects. But never to help with the electoral process. Because it's obvious, they do not desire to have an extremely stable political environment in Guyana. What they want to have is the big brother, the domineering slave master approach. They must always be called in or have the power to say, you behave yourself, you sit in that corner, you take a time out, you're talking too much, you have too much, you think you want to have all this power, you must be removed, this one is right. That's what they want. They want to always show us that they have some degree of influence over the affairs of Guyana. It has to stop. These people have seen in 2015 what happened, because with each passing day that the results are not published, people become more nervous, people become more agitated, people become more anxious, people begin to head to the streets of Guyana, of Georgetown especially. You see now that store owners in Regent Street in some places have begun to board up their stores. Imagine that. Imagine that no winner is announced and persons have already the perception that there will be unrest in this country. Why? Because nobody knows who won. What sense does it make, America, Britain, Canada, ABC nations, for you to applaud the electoral day, the 12-hour window, and then have embarrassment proceed? What does that make sense? Does it make sense for you to say we had a wonderfully executed electoral process, the day in question, 6 to 6, was fine, apart from a few hiccups, but we have 48 hours, 60 hours to wait to know who won? That makes sense to y'all in America? I am recommending, and I would strongly recommend, that there be some constitutional mechanism. There should be a law in Guyana that states that elections results must be published within 24 hours after the electoral process is through. How would that happen? I told you America has 200 plus million people voting, and they don't have this issue. So the means is there, but the politicians don't want it. Because once they create the uncertainty, then nobody is really accepted as a loser. There should be a law in Guyana, written law, that there must be the publishing of results of any general and regional election within 24 hours after its completion or the closing of the poll. Don't tell me it can't happen, because technology is too advanced for it to not happen. And the technology is used throughout the first world nations. In France, they don't take 3 days to announce elections. What makes Guyana so special? That with 500,000, 400,000 plus people voting, you cannot tell us who has won. Because you have to be calling number. And mind you, do not be surprised if the loser decides to contest the results, then you have to have a recount according to law. So the anxiety is lengthened, it's extended. And these ABC nations are saying that they are so pleased with Guyana. No, you're not. You're pleased with what's happening because it benefits you and gives you relevance and significance in a third world country. Josh Argyle, exactly so. The US also has it, exit polls, because the computers are instantaneous. As long as you put your mark and you select the number that you want to vote for, that's the end of the matter. It's instantly updated to a network. And that network is able, that's why we see on CNN, the results are coming in immediately or within moments after the elections. Because the technology is there. They do not want us to have it in Guyana. Because I'm telling you, given the economic wealth that is over this land, the only stronghold America, Britain, and Canada can have over us is because of our political instability. They want it. They will thrive on it because they know certainly that a united Guyana is trouble. There should be a law in this land that mandates election results to be published within 24 hours after the close of poll. So you have from 6 p.m. when the elections are closed to 6 p.m. the following day to announce results. That's it. You don't need more time than that. And that's a lot of time for a country with less than 1 million people voting. Who could solve the problem? Who could have solved the problem years ago? The ABC nations. Did they do anything about it? No. What they did is to say, have ballot papers that have all these codes in it. Why would you give me all of these coded papers and then still we have to wait for 60 hours to know who won? Why? Why have all these security features on the ballot, but still you cannot have results within 24 hours? Because you don't want us to have it within 24 hours. Who loses? The Guyanese populace. Who will lose at the end of this result publication? The Guyanese people. Some persons have published or made known, exhibited clearly their state of mind on a social platform. John Smith has a lot of work to do with the Ethnic Relations Commission. I want to see how many people they'll be calling in to ensure that they give account for the racist remarks they've made and the threats they've made towards each other. Not just APNU FC people, both sides. You can never be an independent nation. You can never be a sovereign nation and people are in your country, ambassadors controlling a president and telling people what they can and cannot do. These people should be deemed persona non grata, meaning they should be put out of here. You should have nothing to do with our electoral process. Sit, watch, hear us, or watch us do what we have to do. When we're done, you know the result. Matter closed. You're not policemen of this state. Tell me if any Guyanese has the power to sit and determine the outcome or the quality and validity of Americans' elections. Tell me which one could do it. And I'll accept what they're doing. Tell me which Guyanese of any rank, including our president, who can sit at the level, as I said before, where the elections in the US are being tabulated, the results are being tabulated, decisions are being made, and they are about to announce who's won. Tell me, which one of our leaders could go to the US and do what American ambassadors done to Guyana? Name one. Name one who can go to the UK. Name one who can go to Canada. We cannot do it, but they could do it to us. What makes us lesser sovereign than they are? less sovereign. What makes us a weaker nation in terms of sovereignty? Sovereignty does not have a limit to it. Understand that, please. A sovereign nation is a nation that rules itself. So we cannot be 80% sovereign or 60% sovereign and the US controls the rest. But they're trying to tell you that you are sovereign, Guyana, but you're not sovereign. If you are sovereign, then the ABC nations will not have all this power over you. Let's not forget that if you don't please them, you do not get their grants. You do not get their aid. You do not get their medical assistance. Nothing. If you do not please them, your politicians, they'll threaten to take their visas away. Some of you in Guyana need to understand what happens in this country. If the leaders of this country do not please the political puppets from Europe and the North, they shall revoke their visa. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that the promise or the threat to revoke a visa from a government official of Guyana will make this government change, or any government change policies to suit America and Canada and Britain? I tell them I'm not afraid of any one of these people. The most they could do is tell me I'm not permitted to enter the country. It doesn't bother me. But I would not sit here and be quiet while this game is played in the public platform. We have politicians in this country, Guyana, who would change policies to hurt us just so that their US visa and Canadian visa, British visa will not be revoked. I'm telling you what we saw before. Can you imagine that? That our politicians, just because they want to travel to the US or be citizens of these countries in the future, they'll put our well-being at risk? My hope and my prayer is that all Guyanese who are of age can wake up and understand what lies ahead of you. The ABC nations should have nothing to do or to say at this time, because they are 100% a part of the problem. They could give computers, they could give all kinds of donations, they could give vehicles, they could give everything except election technology. Think on that. They could give you everything. They could give you cars as donations. They could give you boats as donations. They could donate everything to Guyana. They could donate money to help to rescue the sugar industry or prevent the workers from collapsing financially. But they cannot give us election technology. Think on that. Think on it carefully and then tell me whether you think America, Britain, and Canada, the ABC nations, really want to help Guyana in terms of this electoral process. Think on it. Carefully ponder. You've got APNU AFC, PPP. And what is most upsetting to me is you have got the likes of Bara Jagdeo, Irfan Ali going out into the street and encouraging the celebration as if they've won. Then APNU AFC celebrating on the other side. What are you doing to the person in Guyana who is unable to really, genuinely assess a situation? How can two people win the same election? We all know, if you have any degree of common sense, that GCOM, the Guyana Elections Commission, is the only entity that can declare the results of an election. No other. If they don't say it, it should not be adhered to. Never. But Irfan Ali, who can potentially be the president of this country, is in the street hugging people and having people shout, "Yes, you the president," before GCOM says anything, before Region 4 votes are tabulated. Is that the kind of leader we are going to have in this country? Well, remember that the example has already been set. Constitutions in Guyana don't matter anymore. I told you that before. The Guyana's constitution is now irrelevant to our politicians. On both sides, they don't care about it. And we, the people, are the ones who are responsible because you're too quiet. It is irresponsible for a presidential candidate to take to the street and encourage the masses of supporters to call him the president before it's announced. That should be deemed a crime. And the US knows better than that. In America, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump sat and watched the elections. They were in the control centers. They were watching the elections and they waited until it was irrefutable. Trump won. Hillary came and she issued her statement of accepting defeat. That's first world politics. In the UK, of course, there's another leader now, Nigel, I think his name is. But Boris Johnson, I think, right. He was out there. They had the election. They stayed in their control centers. When the results were irrefutable, okay, this is it. You cannot win. Then they came and accepted defeat. What is happening in Guyana when you have got a leader, somebody who could be the president, going to the street while the votes are being counted, not 50% yet, and celebrating? Elements of APNU AFC are claiming victory. Persons are going to the street. This is destabilizing the nation, and that's exactly what they want. In the same manner that you cannot play a political ad 24 hours before election or on the day of election, there should be a law that states that no candidate, none, should issue any statement until the results are published, of any statement of victory. Thank you, Barbara Bess. There's nothing godly about them. The ABC nations, they're the most dangerous people for Guyana. And some of y'all would learn this later. You're going to learn this later. I told you at the beginning of the broadcast. These are the very people who, when they changed their laws to accept buggery, they told Guyana, you better change it. The British High Commissioner Gregory Quinn said to the president of our country, given all the money we've given to you, by now you're supposed to change this law and have LGBT as legal in Guyana. Imagine the British High Commissioner telling the president. Imagine an ambassador is telling a president of a sovereign country that we give you all enough money, so it's time for you to change the laws and accept man and man, woman and woman. Tomfoolery, I like that, exactly. Can we go to the US and tell them that we don't accept certain laws and they must change it? Can any one of our leaders go to the US and say, listen, we don't like your immigration policy. We don't like the fact that every minute you keep raising your visa application fee, and if the person is denied a visa, they can't get their money back. We don't like that. Can we tell them that? Can a leader in Guyana say that while he's in Guyana? No, he won't do it because he's afraid to lose his visa. That's what I'm saying to you. We have politicians who are afraid to defend and protect us because of fear of a visa being revoked. Maybe I should run for political office at some time. I'm only kidding, I wouldn't. But if I were in political authority, the first thing I would do is tell America where to get off. You don't have anything to say to me. Britain, you have robbed our country long enough. You have built England on the backs of our people. That's a fact. At the behest of the Queen, you have had our resources, our gold and the like sent to your country to build your people. Our diamonds went to you. So you're not qualified to tell us anything until you give us reparation. If you do not pay us back, For all the money you took and the lives you took of our foreparents, you have nothing to say to us. Not a word. Guyana is led by political chickens. They're pawns. They play games with your lives. But they're afraid. Our politicians are afraid for whatever reason. Because they know, actually, they know the reason. If anything happens based on their stupid behavior in this country, they can get on a plane and they can go live somewhere else. Don't forget that. Most of their children attend universities overseas, yet they want you to pay fees in Guyana. They send their children to colleges and universities overseas and they pay for it. So they already have their systems in place. Some of them have built houses in other countries of this world. So they need a visa because they have to go to live in their house. My prayer before I leave you this morning is that our politicians or people in this country or Guyanese populace would arise with such strength to recognize what is being done to you. And you will make a demand that it doesn't continue. This should be the last time. This should be the last time this nonsense happens in an election. Never again. Never again should this happen where you take 48 hours, 50, 60 hours to announce an election result in Guyana. It should never happen again. That should be the order of business number 1 on the agenda when there's a cabinet formed. No more should it happen. Guyanese, we are looking like fools on an international scale. People are making a mockery of us. 2 presidents, 2 prime ministers, 2 parties have won the same election. This is becoming a joke. And the countries, I say in closing, who are entirely capable of making a difference since 2012, never did it to help us because they don't want to help us. They do not want to help Guyana in terms of the electoral process. Because I'm telling you again, the more politically unstable Guyana is, the more stable ABC control is over us. I thank you for your time. My hope and my prayer is that Guyanese wake up and stand up for something that will prevent your children from having to face the same garbage year after year. This is more than enough. Thank you for your time. And goodbye.